What is going on, everybody? This is Michael Williams from Cartoon Universe, and today I have our first Samurai Jack theory for you guys. I got to see the first 3 episodes of Samurai Jack early, and I've wanted to do a couple of theories ever since then, and now that the rest of the world is finally all caught up, I can finally theorize about some of these things. The first thing I wanted to theorize is the possible redemption arc for Ashi. Ashi without a doubt seems to be the most important of the daughters of Aku. I mean, she's the only one with an actual name that is heard on the show, and judging by the emphasis that is being put on her character and a number of other factors, I think it's safe to say that it's likely Ashi could actually end up becoming an ally to Jack, or at the very least someone very important to the show. Who knows, she may be someone who could actually help him carry out his destiny of defeating Aku once and for all. How, you ask? 'Cause she thick, boy.
Nice.
As I said before, Ashi is clearly being built up to be a major player in this final chapter of Samurai Jack. Even on the surface level, both Jack and Ashi, and all the daughters of Aku for that matter, have a very striking parallel that binds them both together. They were both raised for a specific purpose, one destiny, to destroy one single entity. Ashi born and raised solely to kill Jack, and Jack, taken at a young age, trained by masters around the world to earn the Sword of Righteousness to take down Aku for good. And it's especially fitting that the two of them would be trying to kill two counterparts, Jack and Aku. This parallel is further supported in the most recent episode, where Jack recalls something that his father told him. You cannot hide from yourself. Of course, this could be referencing Jack literally talking to his former self, but I think an even bigger meaning behind this is actually the daughters of Aku. Jack's father's words lingered with him just before the daughters of Aku arrived, and Jack decided to stand his ground and fight them. Jack not being able to hide from himself is him not being able to hide from the daughters of Aku. Now, why do I think Ashi might end up being redeemed? After all, her sole purpose in life is to kill Samurai Jack. That is the only reason she was born, and it's all she's ever known. Well, other than the fact that she's thick, we get a pretty significant moment where she takes a second to break away from her intense assassin training to see the beauties of the outside world, which she and her sisters never had the chance to experience. While her other sisters were casually getting bodied by a grown woman, she took a second to look at the sun, the birds, and the trees. And even in real life, sometimes nurture cannot overpower nature. Everyone is different. Yes, of course, we're all influenced by our environment and the experiences we have, but there's also always the influence of our natural-born brains, the personalities we were given at birth. And at the end of the day, everyone is influenced by a different amount of nature and nurture. I think it's plenty possible that Ashi just happens to be more in tune with her own nature than the rest of her sisters, which is why we see her looking at the outside world, taking in all of its goodness. A big piece of evidence that Ashi might actually be redeemed and go against her teachings is in the name Ashi itself. Here's the description of the name Ashi. Ashi is an ancient Sanskrit word, which means blessing. Ashi refers to someone who is blessed in their journey of life. Another meaning of Ashi is gift from God. Ashi signifies a beautiful gift from God, which is the result of good within. So it sounds like the name has some pretty positive connotations. Of course, the part about being gift from God could potentially connect to her being a daughter of Aku, whom is pretty much a deity, but the key there is the result of good within. Now to continue, Ashi also denotes a person's sharpness of mind and their integral eligibility to solve problems. What problems could this be referring to in relation to Samurai Jack? Well, there may be a hint in the upcoming episode of Samurai Jack, and this episode may play an important role in how Jack and Ashi become allies. The description reads, Samurai Jack partners with a deadly assassin in order to escape a gargantuan creature that has swallowed them whole. Now, what assassin could he possibly be teaming up with? Of course, Ashi, as they were both the last ones to fall from the tree in the last episode. So it looks like we may get something similar to Jack and the Scotsman, where they both start out as adversaries, but end up friends by the end of the episode to reach a common goal. Now, I don't think Jack and Ashi will just become besties in one episode, however, I do think this will be a major step for their relationship. Maybe even a romantic one? Who knows? But regardless, I think it's fair to say that with all of Ashi's training and with the sharpness of mind and problem solving being a meaning for her name, that she and Jack will be able to use their smarts to get out of the belly of this monster. Moving on, Ashi shows the blessing of God that enables one to blossom even in the midst of difficult times and achieve what is loved by God. If we're continuing on with the idea that God in this sense is Aku, then this definition takes on a new meaning. To read it with God replaced with Aku, Ashi shows the blessing of Aku that enables one to blossom even in the midst of difficult times and achieve what is loved by Aku. This would of course be killing Samurai Jack, as is her intended purpose. Now, if you remember, I mentioned that Ashi and Jack have quite the parallels, and I think there is actually another one to be had here. You see, Jack had somewhat of a moral dilemma when it came to killing an actual person. For years, he had just been killing robots, so to finally slay a live human being, understandably, shook him up. His internal dialogue showed that he was unsure if he would be able to kill the remaining daughters of Aku. He wasn't sure if he would be able to take another human life knowingly, and yet he knew that once they came for him, they would try to kill him. Jack wouldn't have much of a choice, and as we saw, he actually did end up killing the daughters of Aku. Obviously, it doesn't look like he killed all of them, but he intentionally went for murder there without a second thought. If Jack and Ashi are parallels of each other, then it stands to reason that Ashi may undergo a similar problem. Despite her being more of an individual than her sisters, she was raised her entire life to think that Jack was evil, that Jack was scum, that needed to be destroyed. But what if they really bond? What if she sees that he's not the scum that the High Priestess made him out to be? What if she even starts developing feelings for him? What does she do? Does she kill him as she always was meant to, or does she go against all of her life's teachings? Well, if the definition is of any indication, and her parallels to Jack really are one-to-one, then she may actually try to go through with it. And this could even be after she ends up being quote-unquote redeemed, making for a heartbreaking battle between the two. It's also been widely speculated that Jack will end up dying by the end of the series, and I agree. What if just as Jack deals the final blow to Aku, Ashi deals the final blow to Jack? Creator Genndy Tartakovsky did say that the ending would have people bawling, and what if this is what he meant? After all, Jack has had genuine thoughts of suicide, and it seems that death itself has been following him, watching, waiting for the moment when it finally happens. This would make for an incredibly bittersweet ending. Now, Ashi could also mean potential. I think this could stand for not only her unlocked potential as a master fighter, but her potential for either good or bad. In addition, another meaning for Ashi is desire. This is highlighted again by her desire to see the world and not worry about her purpose. And finally, Ashi in some languages can refer to the Latin word thick. But that's all I have to say about Ashi. Whether she will be friend or foe remains to be seen, but I believe she will be a very dramatic and ambivalent character constantly walking a gray line between right and wrong until season's end. But what do you guys think? Will Ashi ever be redeemed, or will she carry out her duties and kill Samurai Jack? Let us know in the comments down below. If you like this theory, leave it a like and be sure to subscribe for much more Samurai Jack and all things animation. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I've been Michael Williams, you've been watching Cartoon Universe, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.